All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. You're about to get a dose of the luxury home marketing girl in just a minute. She's going to show you how to sell those luxury homes at above market price in below market time. Stay where you are. Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to, I think this is episode 14. I mean, we're in the double digits now of Cliff's Notes. And as I said, don't go anywhere. Get your legal pad out, your pen ready to go, and put your phone on Do Not Disturb, because you're not going to want to miss 1 minute of today's episode. This is going to change the way that you think about business. And those of you out there and who are interested in the luxury market and have luxury listings, this show is for you. And without further ado, well, I'll take that back. Give me just a second here. Trelvis, how was your weekend? Trelvis, everything going well in your family?
I can't complain. I got to see my first Cowboys game this weekend. So.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I actually went to Jerry World.
That was at Jerry World?
Yes,
okay.
Sir. Yes,
all right.
Sir.
And how did that turn out? That was against the Texans?
Oh, we thrashed them. It was 34-0.
34-0.
34-0, man. I was so proud.
I did. So we must have ruled them, right? What they do? Quit after the third quarter?
Something like that. It was 21-zip. 21-zip. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, hey, you know who we have on the show today, and this is Alicia Chmielewski. And for those of you who have never met Alicia, she is indeed the luxury home marketing girl right here in Dallas, Texas. And you may not have known this. And Trelvis, I'm gonna lay this on you because I know you're the smartest guy in the room here.
Okay, I'll take it.
So Chmielewski is actually of Polish origin, is it not, Alicia? It is.
That is correct.
That is correct.
Oh,
okay.
Nice.
And it also means something in Polish.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give you a crisp $1 bill, Trelvis, if you can tell me what Chmielewski translates into from Polish.
Oh, wow. A crisp $1 bill, huh?
I'm stretching it.
Okay.
This offer won't last long, okay?
Chmielewski, what is it beautiful? Because she has a really nice smile. Is that what it is?
Sweet.
Is that what it is?
No, not quite. But thank you.
Close.
You give up?
I give up. I'm
Calf
done.
rope, right? You say
I'm
uncle?
done. Yeah, I'm done.
All right, Alicia, just tell us, lay it on us. What does it mean?
Land of hops.
Land of hops.
That was my second guess. That was
your second guess.
That was going to be my second guess.
Where's my beer drinkers here?
We should have thrown you a lifeline, right?
There it is.
I guess we should have. All right. So, Alicia, well, welcome to the show. I'm super excited, super stoked to have you here, mainly because I know the value that you're about to drop on our audience today and the benefits that they're going to get just by listening to you describe what you do. So let's start out here. I want to share with the audience a little bit about you, yourself, kind of how you got into this business. So take us back, wind us back a little bit. You've been in the business since 2008, if I recall.
That is correct.
All right, take us back to that time. What was it that influenced you to get into the business, and how was your first year? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my first year was right in the heart of the recession. So that was interesting, but you'll never believe how I got into real estate in the first place. I had started in the pet fish industry. That was my first company. And, I'd go to all these conferences and investment seminars and such, and they would always turn everything back to real estate. And I'm like, I hate this whole real estate topic. I came here for my fish store, And so over time, I realized that's not going to get me where I want to be and lead the lifestyle I want to lead. So I thought maybe I should look into this real estate thing, and so I did. And the rest is history. And I love it. I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Okay, so you're addicted to it,
Totally.
and that happens to a lot of us. It gets in your blood. You can't get it out. But how was that first year? How many deals did you close your first year in the business?
Oh gosh, my first year, I'll tell you, I got to know short sales pretty well, but 8.
8? Okay.
Something like that.
All right, and that
Don't
was
quote
in
me
the-
on it. It wasn't bad. It
Sure.
wasn't bad considering.
But
you
that was
know,
short
but-
sale years. I mean, those were the times where it was lean and mean. I mean, you had to get down and really, roll your sleeves up to get a deal done.
That's true.
It wasn't just, put a sign in the yard, put it on MLS and pray that it sells. It was, you got to work with a bank, get the short sale done and really earn your commission. Well,
sure.
and then so you did that for a while, and then now you're in auction. So what was how did you transition from being an independent agent, realtor type person to getting into the auction side of the business?
Well, that's a great question, and I love sharing the story because it shows why I truly believe in auctions.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a great mansion that was for sale in Dallas, and it was my first multi-million-dollar listing. And I was just thrilled and excited, and what can I do differently? I'm all about being creative and trying to make myself and my property stand out. And so in doing so, I realized that I would ask feedback. It was agent to meet. And all the buyers and their agents would come through and they'd say, "Oh, this is perfect for us. This is the house for us." I'm like, "Let's write an offer. Let's make sure that we tie it up so that way, no one else is going to get to it first." Well, unfortunately, over about 2 million, these people don't have motivation. They don't have to because a house will normally wait for them. So in trying to find a way to really reverse those roles and create the motivation that simply isn't there in luxury buyers, that's when I discovered auctions. And I have been a believer ever since. I wound up putting it under contract traditionally, but after that, I found auctions were the way to really create motivation and movement in the higher end tier.
Okay, so you used a term. It was kind of like you flipped the role here a little bit with auctions. Describe. So if I'm a buyer, why would an auction be something that I should really consider if I want to buy a house? I mean, everybody's heard. You go to eBay because you can get things cheaper there. You always get great deals at auctions. People buy cars, even car dealers buy used cars at auctions. What's the benefit to the buyer of participating in an auction?
So the benefit to the buyer is that you know exactly what you're dealing with and you have an opportunity. So you are buying the property as is, obviously, but at the same time, you know that it's going to be yours in a set period of time because it's all pre-negotiated. Terms are laid out. So you're going to have this house within 30 days, if not even sooner. You don't have to wonder, oh, okay, well, are they going to do this? Are the sellers going to, want to stay? You know what you're getting, and you know that you have an opportunity. Because yes, a lot of people think, oh, okay, well, I might be able to get a bargain. And maybe you do, maybe you don't. But you now know that you are not going to overpay because you're going to pay market value. You're going to pay what everyone, when they are in a room bidding, you're going to bid the price, bid the price, bid the price, and you know that you're not overpaying.
Okay, so you mentioned that a buyer would buy the house as is, but you don't not allow them to inspect the house, do you, prior to putting it on the auction block?
Oh, we encourage it, yes.
You encourage it?
If a buyer wishes to have an inspection or appraisal, whatever the case may be, we encourage them to do so prior and then factor it into their bid.
Okay. What other advantages are there for a buyer? So you mentioned that there's a short time frame, a 30-day sort of, fuse, where they know they're going to own it. They get to pre-inspect the house if they desire. They got the opportunity to get a deal on a home, potentially, because the seller's motivated. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason why sellers put their house up for auction, is they want to move. They want to get their house sold. Anything else you can identify that would really be a plus to a buyer?
I think also the fact that we have everything truly laid out, because in a traditional situation, you would say, okay, well, I want so many days to review title work or HOA docs. We have all that in advance. So when you go and you want to do the due diligence, you have everything right there ready for you. You don't have to make an offer and then maybe think, oh my gosh, maybe I regret that. Maybe I would change it. somehow. You can go in fully understanding what you're dealing with from the get-go.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. That's, full transparency to the buyer, and that it's going to be managed in an orderly fashion. So that's exciting. Okay, well let's turn it around for a minute and talk about the seller. And what are the advantages of a seller? And we can, in fact, you and I are working on one now. We've got a property in Preston Hollow that was on the market for a year and a half, and the seller was unable to be successful at getting it sold. So tell us a little bit about the benefits to someone who has a property that perhaps is stagnated, or they've just not been able to get it sold using traditional methods.
Well, I think the one thing that really sets what we do apart is the fact that we are not only selling a house now, but we're selling an opportunity. That opportunity is going to come and go. And normally when you're talking about multi-million-dollar properties, the people that own and purchase multi-million-dollar properties are not used to letting opportunity pass them by. So now they're like, okay, well, there is an opportunity here. Maybe this is something they've been thinking about actually moving forward on, but they're waiting for their next business deal to go through or their next book to be published. These are all real objections, unfortunately, but you see it all the time. And now it gets them off, off just sitting around talking. So it creates the action, creates that motivation that otherwise isn't there by a deadline.
All right, so there's a deadline, there's a sense of urgency.
Correct.
And it really, it's like you said, with a traditional method, homes are sitting, average days on market for homes, multi-million-dollar homes in this area is measured in months, not days, right? Or sometimes even years. Yeah, we'll joke about that, but it's true. Yeah, I know there's a $25 million beautiful home on the market here that has, it's just tough. There's only a certain number of buyers, right, that are going to be able to afford something like that. So for the seller's perspective, what is it? How do you market these homes differently than traditional methods? What is it that you guys do? Because I know I've been blown away by how much work you put into marketing the home, but just for the benefit of the audience there, talk a little bit about what you guys do differently and how you market these properties.
Well, I'm glad that you already noticed something because we're still in the early stages, so I'm flattered about that. I really provide luxury home gossip. So the media knows if they want a story about something that's exciting with regard to luxury homes, they can almost always get one by reaching out. So unlike the agent that might have, a listing here, a listing there, I'm normally dealing with notable people, with notable properties, one of a kind. So a lot of those connections are helpful. We have a whole PR team, a whole marketing team as well. So we do an intensive amount of marketing and PR and combined.
Right. So I know, yeah.
Gets the word out.
So far you guys have done one shoot yesterday at the property that we're going to be selling, and then you're also going to have your video crew out there Saturday and are doing a complete video production, not just a tour of the house, but it's almost like a documentary of the house, right?
Very similar.
So, and then let's talk about reach in terms of advertising and so forth. I know that some of what you do is proprietary, but can you just speak a little bit as to the market that you're trying to reach? Is it a local market here, or do you guys have your fingers out further, cast your net out further than just rich people who live in this area?
Well, obviously, we love to reach anyone and everyone. So we do have a wide net that's being thrown out. However, at the same time, each property is unique. And each property, we feel that the buyers are going to come from different areas. And so we really try to reach those individuals. But if you're here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, you're going to have to hide under a rock to not hear about it.
Have to hide under a rock. I like that analogy. That's awesome. All right, terrific. Well, let me, what kind of a property, now this property that we're marketing together is really unique.
Absolutely.
Fully custom, designed by an architect who was a protege of I.M. Pei and is on, I think, the faculty at the UT Arlington, if I'm not mistaken. But it's an incredible property, one of a kind, beautiful view. What kind of a property is the right property for someone to consider an auction? Is it one that's super unique, or generally speaking, what's the best fit for a property?
Good question. So when it comes to a luxury home auction, we are just like your fine art or fine vehicle auction. So we want creme de la creme homes. We don't want anything that is distressed. It is truly, we will have people that follow our auctions because they know that they're going to get a good quality home, whether they see it or not. And, you know, in this price point, you oftentimes see people sending their surrogates because they don't want to be seen, or don't want to be made known. And so they come in, tour the property, and then they're bidding come auction day.
So you said something that I think I need to repeat, and that is these are not distressed properties. I mean, these properties, the reason why they're going to auction is not because they're in trouble. It's just because traditional methods have been unsuccessful at getting the property sold. So what you guys do is you do a ton of marketing. You create a lot of buyer demand on the front end, and then you say, we've got a deadline, okay? And if you want to participate, this house is going to be sold September 28th. The train is leaving, and if you want to get on it, get on it. Otherwise, the train is gone, pretty much, right?
Absolutely.
So you're creating that urgency with a deadline, which really helps bring, it actually brings the market together at one time, which is a super thing.
Yes.
So tell us about the actual process. What's going to happen the day of the auction? Can you walk us through that?
So the auction day is a really exciting one, and I think it is for anyone and everyone that's involved. A lot of times people say, oh, okay, well, how many people are registered? Well, most of the time people like to hold their cards close to their chest. And so it is very interesting in the moments leading up to the auction because people are turning in their registration, they're showing up. The auction goes really fast. I mean, we sell homes in 10, 15 minutes.
Wow.
Multi-million-dollar homes.
10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I'm going to be sitting there watching you guys with a room full of bidders, and the whole process is going to take 10 or 15 minutes.
That's correct. Paddles fly pretty quick, and our auctioneer, well, she talks really fast. She's awesome.
You have one of those, hey, give me,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't even do it. Travis, can you do an auctioneer for us?
You know what? I'm not very good at it. I hadn't done it in years, Cliff.
I figured, I know you had some of that auctioneer talent. You're just hiding it from us. That's what it is. All right. So it's going to go really, really fast. And so at the conclusion, and so let me back up for a minute. You got a room full of people here. How do you qualify to be a bidder? How do you know that the people that are in the room can actually perform and close the deal?
So the one thing that we've done when we created our marketing program, which is what we call an auction, and we call it our luxury home marketing program that consists of an auction if we make it to auction, because sometimes buyers don't want to compete and they get scared and they want to make a pre-auction offer, which we certainly will either accept, reject, or counter depending upon what the seller wishes to do. But so that happens. When it comes to the actual day itself and how someone actually registers, or not necessarily registers, but how they're qualified, we let them qualify themselves. So that's a little different than the traditional standpoint where you say, oh, you know, Cliff, it's so nice to meet you. It's great seeing this this offer of yours, but I need proof of funds. So in part of their terms and conditions that they're agreeing to even be in the room and have a paddle the day of the auction, they are agreeing that there are no contingencies. So whatever the actual dollar amount that ends at, they have cash, and they have a 10% buyer premium on top of that they're going to be paying in full within 30 days. They have to bring in a cashier's check. Normally it varies from property to property, but about $50,000 in order to even be in the room with a paddle the day of the auction. And then 10% of the final sale price has to go in escrow that following day. The following business day. So we let them qualify themselves, and a lot of times we can do due diligence on them as well, and just see if they really are who they say they are. But no, they truly are. Their privacy is respected, and I think that gives them also confidence in knowing they didn't have to disclose how many millions they have in the bank.
I got you. But you're not having to send Guido the leg breaker out chasing after these guys, right, to shake them down for the money. I mean, they perform. So you haven't, it doesn't happen, right, that people, show up and can't. Never has, knock on wood. Okay. All right. Never say never, but
that's right.
It's a pretty good chance it's not going to happen. Okay, excellent. So after the gavel hits the table and the auction's closed. How fast does the rest of it happen? What happens then for the seller?
So for the seller, we will have completed the contract, which is already written out less the actual sale price. That gets filled in literally minutes after the auction occurs, and the buyer signs, the seller signs, and you're under contract. So it all happens very quick, and it's done.
Okay, and so I guess closings happen pretty quick. I mean, actual funding and closing and all of that.
They certainly can.
How soon can a seller expect to move out of the house or to turn the title over to the new owner?
So each seller, we want to work with them and make sure that everything is reasonable and comfortable for them. Sometimes we have changed the move out and the actual closing time, but generally it's within 30 days. I can give you an example. My last one, which was in Frisco, we had the auction on Saturday, and they had already moved out. They just had staging left. And the buyer, they're paying cash, so they wanted to close that week. So we closed and funded on Thursday. And I was actually, as I was picking up our marketing material that Thursday from the property, they were already moved in. So, I mean, it goes fast.
That's exciting. All of the real estate agents out there, that's music to their ear, to our ears. Cash deal, right? Don't have to wait for funding or anything. It just happens. They roll that wheelbarrow into the title company full of the coins, and off you go. That's awesome. Okay. Well, so is there ever a chance if the buyer, let's say that the auction just doesn't quite get what the seller is looking for, excuse me. Is it possible for a seller to not go through with the auction if things just aren't hitting on all cylinders?
If the auction has already occurred, no.
Okay, so if that gavel is hit,
correct,
it's a done deal.
Correct.
But what about prior to that?
So prior to, if we don't feel that we have, or if we don't have enough people to have an auction, you can't have an auction with one person in the room. Sorry to disappoint you.
I can appreciate that. Yeah.
But if we don't feel that we have a good turnout, that we can do better, we might request either postponing or invite people to make an actual offer themselves. So he's not committed to go through until it actually opens. When the auction opens, auction day, it's going to sell, regardless of price.
Got it. Okay, well, that makes perfect sense. So let me see a show of hands out in the audience out there. If you're watching, hold your hand up if you're an agent and you'd like to know how you can participate and partner with Alicia on a property. There's 1, 2, 3. Look at all those hands. You see all those?
Awesome.
All right, so we got to cover that. Hey, if I'm an agent and I want to get into this sounds really attractive, okay? And so traditionally, the agent is still going to get compensated, just like they listed the house. What do I need to do as a newbie to get introduced to this whole new auction area, this auction arena?
Just reach out to me. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, and I will love to walk each person through the process and go through and see if they have any actual properties that they have in mind. And it doesn't even have to be something that's been on the market for long. We've had people that say, I want to just hit the ground running and let's capitalize on being exciting and new to the market and get it sold. So we've done a lot of different properties, both on the market and not. Okay.
And I got to say, this is my first auction, right? In all fairness, I am by no means an expert. I'm learning as we go here. But I can tell you from my perspective, it's been the easiest thing in terms of, that you guys have a complete turnkey package, the marketing, the promoting the property, everything. It absolutely blew me away, I must say.
Thank you.
But for agents who wanted to get a hold of you, what's a good way for them to find you? It's Elite Auctions, ELITE Auctions, and your name is a little bit one of those that doesn't always sound like it looks.
If you just say Alicia with a long last name, everyone will know who you're talking about.
Okay, or the luxury home marketing girl, auction
the luxury
girl,
home auction girl on
right?
Instagram.
On Instagram, okay. Do you have is there Elite Auctions has a website? What's your email address at Elite Auctions?
So my email is very simple. It's my name, Alicia, ALICIA, at EliteAuctions.com.
Alicia at Elite Auctions. And so if anybody did have a question, they could feel free to email you.
Yeah.
with a
Email,
question?
call, send smoke signals. I respond to it all.
I love that. That's awesome. All right. So now I want you to, we have, again, our audience here, keep in mind who we're talking to. I always like to try to take some of the wisdom, and you just shared a ton of it here with us. But I want to speak to that audience out there that's had their license about a year, and they've been struggling to really get their business kick-started. And with your vast amount of experience and success, if you were to speak some wisdom, a few words of wisdom, what advice would you offer somebody in those shoes? You were in those shoes at one point. What would you offer them to help really get their business kick-started? What's one or two things that they could do immediately to help get things going in the right direction?
So I think one of the biggest, most important things is that there's a million different vendors out there and a million different marketing and ways to do things. Pick what you like doing. Don't do something that you hate, but stay consistent. The consistency is key. Everyone always gets these great ideas. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. And then they're spread so thin, they really can't focus and develop those relationships that they're trying to through social media or through repetitive, marketing to in whatever means or whatever factors.
Okay. All right. So if somebody has, let's say somebody has an opportunity, and they want to, they've identified a house that's been on the market, or perhaps even one of their own listings that's been on the market. It's $1.5 million to $10 million listing, something in that range. Or if they're calling it expired at that level.
Oh, absolutely.
What would be the best thing to do? Would it be to call you and do a listing appointment together? Or would it be for them to try to go and swing the bat themselves? How do you normally work with agents like that?
No, I love to go with the agent themselves because I'm your marketing partner. So you are the real estate professional, you're the real estate agent, and I come in as your marketing team. And so let me handle the explanation about the auction, because as soon as someone tries to wear multiple hats, then something falls through the cracks. And that's the one thing that we want the sellers to know, is that we truly are a team and we specialize in different things, but together we can really make a dynamic difference in the marketing and sale of that home.
Wow, that's exciting. Well, I am super stoked. We're going to have, for those of you that keep up with us, September 28th, we'll have to come back and do a show and talk about how the auction went. Maybe we can get some video, some footage, and so forth. I am just really, really excited about this one. I know in my heart it's going to be the best thing for this seller. He's got an unbelievable lot with a very unique property that is just absolutely gorgeous. I've spent time in there, and I can tell you myself, it's one of the most beautiful properties in that part of Dallas that I've seen.
No doubt about it.
And I know that we're going to be able to get him the top of the market value by doing it this way and getting it sold in a time frame that's going to work for him and his wife, lovely wife Lisa. And so I can't wait for that day. I'm chewing my arm off here. Lisa, is there anything else? Lisa, I'm sorry, Alicia.
All good.
All good. Alicia, is there anything else that you would like to leave our audience with today? We're just about at the end of the hour, the half hour here. Any other words of advice or wisdom? I mean, you've been a wonderful guest today.
Well, thank you, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So to get a hold of you, Alicia at eliteauctions.com. And would you say that auctions are something that agents should not be afraid of to approach their clients with?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's especially if you're going after an expired, for instance. Now, what sets you apart from another agent? Well, you have two ways of marketing a property. You have the traditional, and you have the accelerated marketing that consists of an auction, once again, if we make it to auction.
Right.
So that'll set you apart, and that'll get you in the door, and could even get your property sold in a matter of 45 days.
Oh my gosh, just the sound of that, because you know how long some of these properties sit on the market. It's really a great opportunity to present to a seller who's got to get on with their life. Got to move on. Well, Alicia, I want to thank you so much for being here today. Audience, throw us some love out there. Hit the like button, hit the heart. leave us some great comments about how much you enjoyed Alicia today, and we'll keep you guys posted on the outcome of the auction here. I do want to let you know that next week we're going to have one of my favorite people in the world on, aside from Alicia, Miss Sheila Fejeron, who's a real estate broker here in Dallas, and one of my dear friends and business partners is going to be on, so be sure you stay tuned for that. Also, we've set up a new Facebook group, and we would love to have you participate in that. If you're a member of Get Cliff's Notes, you've already been invited, but if you would, just look on Facebook for Cliff's Notes, our group, Get Cliff's Notes, and we'd love to have you in. If you're a real estate agent, we're really looking for folks that can benefit from the collective wisdom of the group here, and it's going to be a great group. So I guess that's going to be a wrap for us here. Alicia, thank you so much for joining us today. And Trelvis, thank you, my dear friend, for being with us as always. We
No problem.
really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. And audience, absolutely the most important part. Thank you, and we'll see you guys next week.